how did you first meet Jimi Brooks?
Jimi actually came to our property when I wasn't here, and it was, I believe, in 1999 that he came and visited and went to the greenhouse with one of my guys, and he wanted to meet with me, so he left his card, and that's when after receiving his card I gave him a call, and so I believe, I invited him to come to our house for dinner after talking with him for a few minutes, and we kind of became friends afterwards. So a lot of times that he was off the work, he would come over our place or come to the property, and we, being kind of like-minded, both of us, we hit it off as far as becoming really good friends. And he later on convinced me that I should start the winery, because at the time I was thinking that I initially would do all the planting and then years later to do the winery, but he convinced me that it's best that as we were planting, to have a small winery so people would notice what kind of wine we could produce in order to even be able to sell our fruit. So we started building our building in the year 2000. And so we would consult with each other if I had any question as far as the needs for the winery and things like that. And I believe it was sometimes in 2001 that because he was a assistant winemaker at another winery, and he really would like to become the winemaker, so we hired him as a winemaker for us. And it took some time to build and finish the building, and then in 2001 was the first vintage that Jimi made wine for us.
Can you tell us what Jimi was like?
Jimi was a really very big character, just like, and he would really blend in. And him going to Linfield College, we had another affiliation with him because of that, and graduating from Linfield. He was just really a likable guy, and of course he had a very complex character, type A personality, but we became really good friends, and it was really unfortunate that in 2004, just weeks before harvest, maybe a week or so before harvest, he passed away. That was a big blow to me and my family. Yeah.
Can you talk about the events leading up to his death and what happened after?
Apparently, of course, he made wine for us from 2001 through 2003, and then just like as far as 2004 vintage, this is what happened. And when he passed away, Sam Tannehill called me and informed me. It was, he was such a healthy person, and he always consumed really good food, and overall, he was a sportsman. It was just beyond my comprehension that such a young and active person, but it was like a physical problem that he had, aneurysm, and I believe his mother had the same problem, that he passed away.
So after he passed away and you heard about the news, 12 winemakers came together and wineries came together to help Brooks Winery through that vintage. How did you decide to take part in that?
We actually, when he passed away and the news came in, we had a ceremony for him that we invited a lot of friends. And that's another thing, just like the wine community, we all came together trying to figure out that what we could do, him having a very young son, and it's just like his wine was actually, because when through the years that he made the wine, he stored it at our facility, and it's just like it was really a blow to all of us in the community. So it's very, to me, normal that without even the family asking us, we volunteered, because the prior years he'd made the wine over here, and he'd worked, Chris Williams was our assistant winemaker, so that year in 2004, we made most of his wines, I believe, here at our facility, but there were a lot of other wineries that they devoted their time and made some wine. And I'm not really sure how they blended, all of that together. That wasn't done in our place.
So what did you hope to accomplish with the 2004 harvest in terms of the Brooks wine?
In 2004, when he passed away, within the industry, a lot of people that they were kind of concerned, because he was my winemaker, and I myself didn't have the knowledge of winemaking. My kids were really young, so a lot of people even, volunteered to help us to make our wine. But his assistant, Chris Williams, that worked here as well, was a really very knowledgeable guy, and so we really didn't need anybody's help. So Chris made the wine in 2004, and he actually did an amazing job. Our 2004 was a really great vintage for us. So he made the wine here both for Jimi and us.
Do you think the same scenario would be possible today as it was in 2004? Do you think wineries would have still stepped up to help Jimi and to help Maysara?
I have no doubt that because the industry hasn't changed. People still have a sense of working together and helping each other. So I'm sure if something like that happened to any of us, we all would pitch in and try to help another one. Of course, the industry those days was much smaller than what it is today. So it was easier to get together than compared to right now that there's several hundred wineries. But the pioneers and forefathers of the wine industry in Oregon have made it such that if any of us is in need, we would try to help each other. And we don't even think about it. I mean, it's just like, this is something that it comes naturally. Yeah.
And then, what was it like when you met Janie?
Janie? Mm-hmm. Janie actually was a great person, and at the time when his death happened, nobody really knew till the doctors, and it was a family doctor that examined him, and some people, without knowing, were kind of speculating that maybe too much stress was the reason for the death, but Janie made it very clear that this was something that the doctor had said that it could even happen when he was at the doctor's office. This could have just happened. He had always complained about certain pain. I remember one time we went to Napa together with my wife and Jimi, and we had an event in Napa, and he just had so much pain. But he, at the same time, I think he had been to Africa and had consumed something over there that had some sort of a medical issue over there. I'm not really remembering exactly what it was, but he himself thought it's just like when he got sick in Africa, that was what creating his problem. But that wasn't the thing. It's just like he had aneurysm and passed away.
Can you talk a little bit about what impact Brooks, under Janie's leadership, has had on the Oregon wine industry?
Janie is a very good marketer, and I really applaud her for that. But remembering what Jimi used to say, Jimi never really wanted, and he actually always would mention that he's a winery that is at the maximum 1,000 cases, and only friends and family helping him. So I'm not sure if Jimi had the intention of getting as big as Brooks is, but she's done a really wonderful job of taking care of the family, taking care of Pascal and sending him to school, and sometimes we think that we could stay small and conduct business, but then we also realize that in order to have more income, we need to produce more. So that's probably why it's gotten to the size that it is today. But Jimi really wanted to stay very, very small.
And then, how has the Oregon wine industry changed since 2004?
In only 2004?
Since 2004.
Since
so 2004 to now.
It's gotten much, much bigger, and more and more people are coming. At the time, we didn't have any of these big companies coming, but I guess everybody has noticed from France and Australia, New Zealand, a few other places. Most of the winemakers, they really would love to make a good Pinot Noir, and we are the hub of Pinot Noir. It's just like we are not France, Burgundy, and we are not California, but we do have a perfect climate, and that has been, I think, the reason that more and more people noticed Oregon, and the publicity that Oregon has had in the last 15 years or so as far as producing top Pinot Noir has encouraged more and more people to come to the States, and I'm sure it's going to get a lot bigger than what it is today, but that's just fine. It's just the way that life works. Yeah.
And then, did you think Brooks Winery would still be around whenever in 2017?
I visiting Jimi's sister Janie. When we had the ceremony and all that, I had no doubt that she was really determined to get it going, to carry the torch and to leave something for Pascal. So I had no doubt that she'd be able to pull that off. Yeah.
And then, what's your favorite memory of Jimi?
Jimmy was a really fun guy to be around. He loved to cook, he loved to eat, and we shared a lot of stories. And as I said, it's just like we had the same train of thought as far as how we wanted to grow things. And I had shared with him some of the wine regions in the old country and how they did not only the farming but also the winemaking. So we were all looking to find a better way of farming, and that's discussing, as I said earlier, in the old country we don't call it biodynamic. So I shared with him some of my experiences in northwest of Iran in a wine region that winemaking dates back for several thousand years, and telling him about some Assyrian friend that I had and going to that place and how much fun it was. So he at the time, of course, he couldn't go to Iran because of the turmoil between the two countries, but he was able to go, after hearing my stories, and to go to Georgia as an example, and learning how they make the wine. So he was a guy that was really fun to be around and just loved to eat good food and consume a lot of drinks, and it was fun to be around him. Yeah.
What's your favorite memory of Jimmy and Pascal together?
Jimmy just loved Pascal. He just really, his life was devoted to Pascal. And now looking back, Pascal being a 5-year-old kid, I think at the time that Jimmy died, and he's grown up to be a really wonderful young man. And it's just like anytime I look at Pascal, Jimmy's picture comes. Yeah.
And then why do you think Jimmy Brooks's story resonates with people so much?
It's his character, his demeanor. He just made friends instantly. Within the industry, it's just like it was so thrilling after his death, which we're all very sorry to see such a young man passing away. But what was really rewarding to see that everybody, not just only in the wine industry, but the restaurateurs, the bartenders, and everybody really wanted to help. And it was really, I've not seen that in this country. It's just like his death not only impacted us a great deal to lose such a good friend, but just knowing and learning that how many people really knew him and they just wanted to do whatever they could to help the family and help the kid. That's something I haven't seen that much here in this country. Just he really had the kind of personality that after visiting him one time, people would become really good friends with him.